The sky was quiet that evening. Stars sparkled faintly, and the wind whispered through the trees around the small research station. Nico leaned against the railing, staring at the horizon, wondering if anything exciting would ever happen in his life. He had spent years studying space, tracking signals, and analyzing strange patterns. But Earth was peaceful. Too peaceful. Then the first signal came. It wasn't like the usual bursts from satellites or deep space probes. It was a steady hum, almost musical, and it grew louder each day. The instruments at the station began to vibrate softly. Nico and his colleagues were the first to notice it. At first, they thought it was an equipment error, but the hum persisted. It was intelligent. By the third day, the source of the sound became clear. A massive object appeared in Earth's upper atmosphere, a ship, unlike any human craft. It was smooth, metallic, and seemed alive. Its surface shimmered, reflecting the moonlight in patterns that changed constantly, almost like it was breathing. The station's alarms rang, and every screen lit up with readings that no one could explain. Nico's heart raced. He had dreamed of seeing aliens his whole life, but now that it was happening, he felt fear mixed with awe. The ship hovered silently, high above the Earth, and then, without warning, it descended toward the station. The landing was gentle, almost graceful. Dust swirled around the base, but there was no explosion, no loud crash, nothing like the movies. The massive doors of the ship opened slowly, and a single object floated down on a beam of light. The station's security cameras focused on it, revealing a small creature, unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It was fragile-looking, no taller than a child, with limbs that seemed too thin to hold itself up. Its skin shimmered with soft colors. That changed like oil on water. Its head was slightly larger than normal, with eyes so deep and bright they seemed to see straight into Nico's mind. Most of the team froze, unsure if they should approach. "Is it alive?" whispered Lena, one of the junior researchers. Nico swallowed hard. "I think so." The creature didn't speak. It didn't move quickly. Instead, it tilted its head, studying them as if it were curious about humans. There was something gentle about it. But its appearance frightened many at first. Some whispered it looked ugly, but Nico noticed the subtle beauty in the creature's eyes. There was intelligence there and a quiet longing. The team decided to move it into a secure lab. They called it a gift from the aliens, though no one knew why it had been sent or what it was supposed to do. The ship, silent and massive, lifted back into the sky and disappeared among the stars. No message was left. Only the creature remained. Nico was assigned as the lead scientist to study it. From the first moments, he felt a connection he could not explain. He knelt in front of the creature, keeping his movements slow and careful. "Hi, I'm Nico," he said softly. The creature blinked slowly, its colors shifting in response. It didn't speak, but Nico felt a spark of understanding, as if it recognized him. The team named her Mira, meaning wonder in an old human language. Mira seemed to understand the name immediately, tilting her head and letting her colors flow in patterns that were both beautiful and calming. She didn't eat or drink at first, only observing. Nico suspected she might not need food in the same way humans did, or maybe she was simply waiting. Over the next few days, the lab was filled with questions. Mira did not communicate with words, but she had ways of showing emotion. When someone approached too quickly, she shimmered with sharp colors, warning them to step back. When Nico brought a book of star maps, her body glowed softly, tracing patterns with her small, delicate hands. The other scientists were hesitant. "What if she's dangerous?" one asked. "What if she's here to spy or even harm us?" Nico shook his head. "Look at her eyes. She's not dangerous. She's curious. She's scared, just like we would be if we landed on another planet." One evening, as Nico worked late in the lab, Mira finally did something that surprised everyone. She reached out a tiny glowing hand and touched the holographic display of the solar system. Light flowed from her fingers into the planets on the screen, and for a moment, it seemed as if the stars themselves were alive, responding to her touch. Nico's breath caught. She was not just a creature. She was a being of wonder, a bridge. Between humanity and something far beyond, Nico realized something important. Humanity had always thought of aliens as invaders, or threats, or mysteries to be solved with technology and weapons. But Mira was not an enemy. She was a gift, a puzzle of life and intelligence. And if humans could understand her, perhaps they could understand something greater about the universe. But not everyone shared his view. Some members of the station wanted to contain her, study her like an object, or even hide her from the world. Nico argued passionately that Mira deserved respect, freedom, and patience. "We can't force her to communicate," he said. "We have to let her show us who she is." Mira seemed to respond to his kindness. That night, she glowed brighter than usual and floated to Nico, hovering near his chest. Her eyes met his, and he felt something shift inside him, a connection that went beyond words. In that moment, Nico understood that this gift, this small, fragile creature, might change humanity forever. Outside the lab, the sky remained quiet, but Nico knew the silence would not last. The universe had sent its messenger, and the arrival of Mira marked the beginning of a new chapter for Earth. What no one yet realized was that Mira's presence would challenge everything humans thought they knew about life, beauty, and intelligence. And Nico, for the first time, felt that excitement he had always been waiting for, an adventure that could stretch across stars and time itself. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if welcoming the tiny being who had fallen from the sky. The next morning, the research station was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional beep of monitors. Mira sat in the center of the lab, her colors pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Nico watched her from across the room, careful not to startle her. He had learned that rushing toward her or raising his voice made her nervous. Today, he wanted to understand her more. He had prepared a small experiment, not to test her, but to communicate. He placed a holographic globe on the table, showing Earth with its oceans, mountains, and cities. Mira tilted her head and floated closer. Her eyes shone as she traced the continents with her glowing hands. The colors on her skin shifted rapidly, as if she was trying to match the shapes she saw. "It's okay, Mira," Nico said softly. "You don't have to be afraid." She paused, then stretched out her hand toward him. Nico felt a small spark when their fingers almost touched. It wasn't dangerous, just alive. Mira's glow spread across her body in warm colors, soft pinks and blues. Nico smiled, realizing that this was how she showed happiness, or trust. The other researchers were hesitant. Lena whispered to Nico, "Do you think she understands us, or is she just copying?" "I think she's learning," Nico replied. "She's not just copying, she's observing, trying to understand. We have to be patient." For the rest of the day, Nico introduced Mira to simple objects: a ball, a book, a small plant. She explored everything with wonder, touching the objects lightly, then looking at Nico for approval. When he nodded or smiled, her colors changed, as if she were saying, "I understand." During lunch, Nico tried something new. He hummed a simple tune, a song his grandmother had taught him as a child. Mira stopped her movements and tilted her head. Then, almost shyly, she pulsed her colors in rhythm with the sound. Nico laughed, quietly. "You like it, don't you?" he asked. She responded with a brighter glow, moving her hands like waves across the table. It was a small connection, but it was progress. Nico felt hope growing inside him. Mira was not only intelligent, she was capable of emotion, and she wanted to interact. But not everything was peaceful. A security officer named Rawl watched from a distance, frowning. "We can't trust her," he muttered to Lena. "She came from another world. Who knows what she might do?" Lena shook her head. "Look at her. She's not dangerous. She's scared. Just like we would be if we landed somewhere unknown." Rawl grunted but didn't respond. He had been stationed at the lab for years and trusted only protocol. Mira's presence challenged everything he believed about safety and order. Later that evening, Mira did something unexpected. Nico had left a small notebook open on the table, filled with sketches of planets and stars. Mira floated to it, touching the page with her glowing hands. The sketches began to shimmer, and Nico noticed that the drawings seemed to move, planets rotating, moons orbiting, stars blinking. Mira was not just touching the paper, she was interacting with it in a way that humans had never seen. "Unbelievable," Nico whispered. She's alive in a way we don't understand yet." Lena and Rawl watched in awe. Even Rawl's expression softened slightly. I don't know what that means," he admitted. "But it's beautiful." Over the next few days, Nico worked with Mira to explore communication further. He used images, sounds, and simple patterns, showing her pictures of animals, plants, and people. Mira responded with lights and movements, sometimes mimicking what she saw, other times creating patterns entirely new. Nico realized she was not just learning. She was creating. One night, as the station was quiet, Mira floated to the large window overlooking the night sky. Her hands glowed brightly, and small, sparkling lights appeared around her like tiny stars. Nico approached slowly. "You can see them too, can't you?" he asked. Mira turned her eyes toward him, and the colors on her skin shifted to warm golden tones. She extended her hands, and the stars seemed to move, aligning into shapes he recognized, constellations of Earth's night sky. Nico's heart pounded. You're showing me the stars," he whispered. Mira nodded, her colors flickering like a soft laugh. It was then that Nico realized something important. Mira was not just observing Earth or humans, she was connecting with the universe itself. She had the ability to understand and interact with the cosmos in ways humans could only imagine, and she had chosen him, of all people, to show it to. The next challenge came quickly. The aliens who had sent Mira returned, but not in person. A small device appeared in the lab, projecting a holographic message. The voice was calm but firm. "Return Mira immediately," it said. "Humans are not ready for her. She is a gift, meant for observation, not interaction." The team froze. Nico felt a surge of protectiveness. Mira looked at the device, her colors flashing sharply in warning. It was as if she knew she was being demanded back, and she did not want to go. Nico stepped forward. "She's not just a gift. She's alive. She has thoughts, feelings, and a choice. We cannot just hand her over." The device emitted a low hum and then disappeared. The room was silent again, except for Mira's soft glow. She floated to Nico, wrapping her small hands around his wrist in a gentle, trusting gesture. For the first time, the entire team understood. Mira was not just an alien creature. She was an ambassador, a teacher, and a friend, and humanity had a choice to make, either see her as a tool or as a being with her own mind and heart. That night, Nico stayed by her side, showing her the night sky again. He told her stories of Earth, of mountains, rivers, and cities, of humans who had dreamed of touching the stars. Mira listened, her colors shifting in time with his words, almost as if she understood every sentence. Nico realized that this was the beginning of something extraordinary. Mira had come to Earth not to conquer or harm, but to connect. And if humans could rise to meet her kindness with curiosity and respect, they could learn more about the universe and themselves than ever before. Outside the lab, the stars shone a little brighter. For the first time, Nico felt that humanity was not alone. And he knew that with Mira by their side, the future could be full of wonder, discovery, and hope. Days passed, and life at the station slowly settled into a new rhythm. Mira had become part of the lab, quietly observing humans, learning their habits, and sometimes surprising them with her intelligence. Nico spent nearly every hour with her, teaching, learning, and building a trust that seemed unbreakable. But the calm could not last. A few days after the mysterious message from the alien ship, a series of strange events began to happen. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation. Readings from outside the lab grew erratic, and, most troubling, a bright light appeared in the sky at irregular intervals, scanning the station. Rawl, still wary of Mira, insisted on tightening security. "We don't know what she's capable of," he said. "If those aliens come back, we need to be prepared." Nico shook his head. "She's not a threat. Mira is not dangerous. We need to focus on understanding her, not isolating her." Mira seemed to understand the tension. She floated to Nico and placed a small, glowing hand on his arm. The colors on her skin pulsed like a heartbeat, calm and steady, as if telling him to remain patient. Nico felt a wave of reassurance. That night, the bright light returned. This time, it was accompanied by a humming sound, low and melodic. The station's alarms went off, but Mira remained calm. She hovered near the window, her glow intensifying. Then, in a way that astonished everyone, she extended her hands, and the light in the sky seemed to respond, bending and shifting as if guided. By her will, it's like she's controlling it, whispered Lena. Or communicating. Nico nodded. She's trying to show us something. Suddenly, the holographic display in the lab activated on its own. Stars, planets, and distant galaxies appeared, spinning, slowly. Mira's hands moved over the projection, and tiny points of light floated up, forming shapes. Nico recognized a pattern, a pathway of stars that led far beyond their solar system. "She's showing us a route," Nico said in awe. "A path in space, maybe to her world or her people." The team was stunned. The possibilities were endless. Mira had not only arrived on Earth as a gift, but she could also guide humans toward understanding the wider universe. But the next day, tension reached a peak. A second message arrived, this time physically. A small craft descended near the station, hovering silently. It was not as large or imposing as the first alien ship, but its presence demanded attention. A holographic figure appeared inside the lab, projected from the craft. Its form was elegant, alien, but not frightening. "Humans," it said, voice calm but firm. "The creature you call Mira is not a tool for your curiosity. She is a being of her own will. If you continue to interact with her, you will face consequences. Return her to us." Nico stepped forward. "She is not an object to return. She is alive. She has thoughts and feelings. And she chose to stay here." The alien figure tilted its head, as if surprised by his boldness. "Choice is a human illusion. Her creators do not allow deviation. She is a gift, meant for observation only." Mira floated between Nico and the hologram, her colors flashing in sharp reds and blues. It was clear she did not want to leave. Nico felt her determination. She had chosen humanity. Rawl spoke, tension in his voice. "We need to obey them. We can't risk whatever they might do." Nico shook his head. "No. Mira trusted us. We cannot betray that trust." The hologram remained silent for a moment, then faded. The craft slowly lifted into the sky and vanished, leaving behind a silent threat. It was a test. Nico realized that the aliens wanted to see how humans would respond, to see if they could protect the life they had been given. That evening, Nico stayed late with Mira. He spoke softly, telling her stories of Earth, of hope and kindness, of people who dared to dream. Mira floated near, her glowing hands tracing shapes in the air. For the first time, she reached out fully, letting her light touch Nico's face. He felt warmth and a connection deeper than words. "We'll face this together," he whispered. Mira's colors shifted, flowing in harmony with his heartbeat. It was more than trust. It was partnership. Over the next days, the team worked carefully, documenting Mira's abilities and learning to understand her. They realized she could manipulate energy, interact with the stars, and communicate through light. But she also had limitations. She could not create matter, and her influence was strongest when she felt safe and respected. Lena noticed something remarkable. "She's not just intelligent," she said quietly. "She's ethical. She chooses to do good. She wants to help, not harm." Nico nodded. "That's why she came here. Not to conquer, not to fight, but to teach us about kindness, patience, and the universe." Rawl, though still cautious, began to see her differently. One night, he watched Mira gently floating over the lab, her colors soft and calming. She looked almost like a child exploring a new world. For the first time, he whispered to himself, "Maybe we were wrong about her." Then one morning, the unexpected happened. The lab's monitors lit up with a massive energy reading outside Earth's orbit. A small fleet of alien ships was approaching. Unlike the first craft, these ships did not appear friendly. They moved fast, almost like predators, scanning the planet. The team panicked. "They've come for her," Rawl said. Nico knew they had little time. "We need to protect her," he said. "She trusted us. We can't let her be taken without a choice." Mira seemed to understand immediately. Her glow intensified, radiating confidence and courage. She floated to Nico and Lena, letting them feel her energy. It was as if she were saying, "We can do this together." The station became a hub of preparation. Shields were activated, communication systems monitored the approaching fleet, and Nico realized that this was the moment humanity had been waiting for. Not a moment of surrender, but a moment to rise, to show that humans could protect life, make choices, and face the unknown with courage. As the alien fleet drew closer, Mira raised her hands. Tiny points of light formed in the lab, floating, like stars between them. Nico felt hope. Whatever happened, they were not alone. They had Mira, and together they would face the challenge ahead. For the first time, the entire team felt it. The universe was vast, full of danger and beauty, but humanity had the courage to meet it. And Mira? Mira was the key to showing them that they were capable of greatness. Outside the station, the stars seemed to pulse in response, as if the universe itself was watching, waiting, and ready to witness a story of trust, courage, and the first real connection between humans and something far beyond their world. The sky over the station glowed with the approach of the alien fleet. Hundreds of small ships moved like dark shadows against the stars, their lights scanning the earth below. Nico, Lena, and Rawl stood together in the control room, watching, the monitors with tense anticipation. Mira floated near the center of the lab, her colors shifting rapidly. She seemed to sense the danger, but there was no fear, only determination. Her hands glowed brighter than ever, and tiny sparks of light swirled around her, like a miniature galaxy. "They're coming for her," Rawl said, his voice tight. "We can't stop them." Nico shook his head. "We have to try. She chose us, and we have to protect her. She's not just a gift. She's a friend." Lena stepped forward. Maybe we don't have to fight alone. Mira can help us. Mira turned toward them, her colors pulsing in agreement. Then she raised her hands, and the lights in the lab began to move, forming patterns and shapes that resembled star maps. Nico realized she was preparing to connect with the ships in some way. The first wave of alien ships reached the station. Bright beams scanned the area, searching for Mira. The team held their breath. Then something incredible happened. Mira released a pulse of energy from her hands. It spread like ripples in water, forming a shield of shimmering light around the lab and the station. The alien beams hit the shield and bounced away harmlessly. Rawl's jaw dropped. How is she doing that? Nico's eyes shone. She's using energy, but it's not just raw power. She's controlling it with her mind. She's protecting us. The alien ships began to attack more aggressively, trying to break through the shield. Mira responded by raising her glow even higher, and tiny lights shot out from her hands, weaving between the ships. The lights moved like threads, connecting with the aliens' energy systems and disrupting their coordination. Look, Lena pointed at the monitor. They're confused. They can't focus. Mira's shield held firm and the fleet started to hesitate. The aliens realized that the humans were not helpless and that Mira was not theirs to take. Nico felt a surge of hope. We can do this, he said. Together. But the aliens were persistent. A larger ship appeared, far more advanced than the others. It hovered above the station, sending a massive beam of energy directly toward them. The lights in the lab flickered and the shield began to strain. Mira's glow intensified, and she reached out her hands toward the approaching ship. The small points of light that had been floating around her joined together, forming a radiant sphere that expanded outward. The beam from the alien ship collided with the sphere, and for a moment, everything was silent. Then, with a flash, the energy from Mira's hands surged into the fleet. The ships shivered, their movements slowing. The alien vessels began to retreat, one by one, unable to counter her power. Nico could hardly believe his eyes. She's not just defending, he whispered. She's teaching them, showing them we are not weak. The large ship paused, as if considering the humans and Mira. Then it emitted a signal, and the fleet slowly moved back, disappearing into the depths of space. The threat was gone, for now. The team let out a collective sigh of relief. Mira's glow softened, and the tiny lights around her faded. She floated toward Nico and Lena, resting her hands lightly on their arms. It was a gesture of gratitude, of trust, and of partnership. Rawl, still wide-eyed, spoke quietly. I didn't believe it, but she saved us. She actually saved us. Nico nodded. And she showed us something even more important. Humans are stronger than we think, especially when we work with someone who trusts us. The days after the attack were filled with careful analysis. Mira's abilities were studied, and the team realized that her power came not from force, but from connection. She could sense energy, life, and intention, and use that understanding to interact with the universe in a way humans could never achieve alone. Lena smiled at Mira one morning. You're amazing, she said. Mira's colors brightened in response, swirling like sunlight on water. Nico had a new idea. If Mira can connect with the stars, maybe she can teach us how to travel farther, maybe even reach her people. Mira's hands glowed, and she moved toward the holographic star map. Tiny points of light appeared, linking planets, stars, and galaxies. It was a map, a guide, and a message all in one. Nico realized that she was inviting humans to explore, not with weapons, but with understanding. That evening, as the sun set, Nico stood beside Mira, looking out at the horizon. You gave us a chance, he said softly. A chance to be better, to be brave, to see beyond ourselves. Thank you. Mira's colors shifted gently, like a warm smile. She floated closer, letting the light from her hands brush against his face. It was a simple gesture, but full of meaning. Nico felt a bond that went beyond words, a connection that could change the future of humanity. But even as they celebrated, a small alert blinked on the monitors. A new energy signal had appeared far beyond Earth's orbit. It was faint, but unmistakable. Mira's glow flared in response, her colors flickering with curiosity and concern. "They're coming back," Lena said quietly. Nico took a deep breath. "Then we'll be ready. Together." Mira extended her hands toward the stars, and tiny lights appeared, floating between them like fireflies. She was ready to guide humans once more, to face the unknown with courage, hope, and trust. And for the first time, the team understood something vital. Mira had not come to Earth to fight or conquer. She had come to show humans what they could be: strong, brave, and wise. She had given them a gift far greater than herself. She had given them a chance to shine. Outside the lab, the stars seemed brighter than ever, and in that light, humanity's potential felt infinite. The days after the alien fleet's retreat were quiet, but the team knew it was only temporary. Mira floated through the lab, her glow gentle and calming. She spent hours exploring the station, observing humans, and experimenting with the energy she could control. Nico watched her closely, fascinated by every movement and color shift. One morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, the monitors blinked with a new signal. It was faint, almost like a whisper, coming from deep space, far beyond the reach of the previous fleet. The team gathered around, curiosity and caution in equal measure. "It's coming from the direction Mira's star map points to," Lena said. Her voice trembled slightly with excitement. "It could be her people." Mira's glow brightened, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. She floated toward the console and extended her hands. The tiny lights that always surrounded her moved, with her gestures, forming intricate patterns in the air. It was clear she was trying to communicate with whatever was sending the signal. Nico leaned closer. "Can you understand them?" he asked softly. Mira's colors shifted into calm blues and greens. She hovered for a moment, then touched the holographic map. Points of light flickered and rearranged, forming shapes that the team could just barely interpret. It was a message, but not in words. It was more like a feeling, a thought, an invitation, or perhaps a warning. Rahl frowned. A warning? After we just defended her? Why would they come back? Nico shook his head. "I don't think it's a threat this time. Mira's people, they are curious. Maybe they want to see what she has learned here." Mira floated to Nico, resting her glowing hand on his shoulder. The warmth of her energy conveyed reassurance. She wanted them to understand that whatever came next, they would face it together. The team worked quickly to prepare. They set up communication channels, reinforced the station's shields, and recorded every interaction with Mira. As evening fell, the signal grew stronger. Tiny pulses of energy streaked across the monitors, forming shapes that seemed almost alive. Then, without warning, the lab was bathed in a soft golden light. Mira's glow intensified, and the patterns in the air shifted into a shape that everyone recognized. A star-like figure, hovering above the floor, radiating energy and intelligence. A voice filled the lab, not loud, not commanding, but calm and full of wisdom. "Humans of Earth, you have shown courage and kindness. The being you call Mira has chosen her own path, and we observe this with interest. Your actions demonstrate potential beyond expectation." The team exchanged astonished looks. Nico's heart raced. "They're acknowledging us, appreciating what we've done." Mira's colors swirled faster, reflecting excitement and relief. It was the first time her people had directly communicated with humans. the alien voice, continued. We have watched for cycles what you call days. Your care, your patience, your choices have shown understanding of concepts even beyond your current knowledge. Mira's presence has accelerated your growth. This is unusual. Lena whispered, They're impressed. They actually respect us. Rawl, still cautious, added, We shouldn't celebrate yet. Observation could mean testing or challenges we don't understand. Nico nodded. True. But so far, we've survived and we've learned. That counts for something. The voice then issued a challenge, not of combat, but of intellect and trust. If you wish to continue this connection, you must demonstrate your ability to care for life beyond your own. Show your capacity to protect and understand, to make choices, guided by empathy, not fear. Mira has already shown us her choice. Now we observe yours. The lab was silent. The meaning was clear. The aliens were giving humanity a test, one that could determine how far this connection would go. Nico looked at Mira. She hovered near him, glowing steadily, as if lending her confidence to him. We can do this, Nico said quietly. We've protected her once. We can protect life again, and we'll do it together. The days that followed were filled with preparation and study. Mira guided them, teaching humans to understand energy, light, and the connections between life forms. Small experiments turned into larger ones, and the team realized that the station itself could become a bridge, not only between Earth and Mira's people, but between all beings capable of understanding care and choice. One evening, Mira led Nico outside the station's observation deck. They floated among the stars, her glow casting soft light on his face. There's so much to see, Nico whispered, and so much we don't understand. Mira's colors shifted, forming shapes that resembled maps, constellations, and energy flows. He realized she was teaching him not just facts, but perspective, how to think beyond himself, beyond humans, beyond Earth. The next day, the faint signal returned. This time it brought images, almost like visions. Mira's people appeared, shapes of light and color, not frightening but deeply intelligent. They observed everything without judgment. Nico felt awe and humility. These were beings beyond anything humans had imagined, and yet they seemed open to learning from Earth. They're waiting for us to show them what humanity can do, Lena said softly. This isn't just Mira's story, it's ours too. Mira pulsed gently, resting her hand on Nico's shoulder. The colors reflected a shared determination. Humans and Mira were partners now, and the universe itself seemed to watch, waiting for their next move. Then a sudden alert flashed across the monitors. A small ship from the fleet had returned, not to attack, but to test. Its energy signature was unfamiliar, and the team felt a thrill of anticipation. Mira's glow brightened, as if she recognized a pattern, a lesson, or a challenge. Nico smiled, despite the tension. This is it. The test begins, and we're ready. Outside the observation deck, stars stretched infinitely, and the universe seemed alive with possibility. Mira reached out her hands, sending tiny lights into the void. It was a gesture of hope, of invitation, and of courage. The lights danced like fireflies, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. And for the first time, the team truly understood what Mira had brought them. Not just guidance or protection, but the chance to rise, to show that humans could be worthy of friendship, trust, and the endless possibilities of the stars. The universe had noticed them, and humanity's story among the stars was only beginning. The station floated silently in orbit, bathed in the soft light of distant stars. Nico, Lena, and Rawl worked tirelessly, preparing for the test Mira's people had promised. Every system was checked, every shield reinforced, and every protocol reviewed. Yet, despite all preparation, there was an unease in the air. an unspoken understanding that this test would challenge more than just technology. Mira floated at the center of the lab, her colors shifting in patterns that reflected concentration and focus. She hovered above the star map, her tiny lights flickering like a living constellation. Humans and alien energy intertwined in ways the team could barely comprehend. And yet, there was a strange sense of calm. "Are we ready?" Lena asked softly, her eyes scanning the monitors. Rawl shook his head. "I don't know if anyone could be fully ready for what's coming, but we have to try. We can't let fear guide us." Nico placed a hand on the console, feeling the gentle hum of Mira's energy through the station's systems. "She believes in us. That's enough for me." Suddenly, the monitors lit up with a signal unlike any they had seen before. A portal of shimmering light appeared outside the station, suspended in the void of space. It was a doorway, pulsating. With energy, and through it, they could glimpse another world. Vast landscapes bathed in golden light, floating islands and skies filled with colors humans had no names for. Mira's glow intensified. She floated toward the portal, then turned to Nico and the others. Her gesture was clear. They were to go through. Lena swallowed hard. "We have to step into the unknown, just like that?" "Yes," Nico said firmly. "If this is the test, we can't hesitate. Mira is showing us the way. We trust her. We trust ourselves." The team moved cautiously toward the portal, their suits glowing faintly under the station's lights. As they entered, a warm current of energy surrounded them, lifting them gently. The sensation was both thrilling and terrifying. The moment they passed through, the world around them changed completely. They stood on a floating island, the ground soft and shimmering like glass. The sky above was alive with streaks of light, and distant structures floated effortlessly in the air. Mira's glow lit up the surroundings, guiding the humans with her steady light. This is incredible," Rawl whispered. "It's like stepping into a dream." But there was no time to linger. The portal behind them closed silently, leaving them with only the floating island beneath their feet. The energy pulses they felt before became stronger, as if the world itself was alive and observing them. A voice echoed through the air, not Mira's, but the voice of her people. Calm, wise, and resonant, it filled the landscape. "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. You have been brought here to show that you can protect life, even when faced with uncertainty." From the shimmering horizon, shapes began to emerge. Creatures formed of light and energy, not hostile, but challenging in presence. They moved gracefully, circling the humans, testing their reactions. Each step required trust, patience, and understanding. Nico glanced at Mira. Her glow pulsed in encouragement. "We must move carefully but boldly," he said. "If we falter, it's not failure, it's learning." The first challenge came quickly. A narrow bridge of light extended over a vast chasm. The humans could feel the energy beneath them, unstable and shifting with every step. Lena hesitated, but Nico took her hand. "We go together, step by step." With Mira guiding them, they crossed the bridge, feeling the energy respond to their cooperation. It was as if the world itself was acknowledging their choices, rewarding trust and unity. Then came the second challenge, a storm of energy spiraling toward them. Not destructive, but chaotic, unpredictable. The humans needed to navigate it without causing harm to the living energy around them. Rawl closed his eyes and focused, following Mira's lead. Slowly, they moved through the storm, learning to understand its patterns, to bend with it rather than fight it. "Look!" Lena shouted. "The energy is calming around us." Indeed, the chaotic storm softened, swirling into gentle arcs of light, guided by the humans' choices and Mira's presence. The team felt a surge of confidence. They were not just participants, they were active collaborators in this world. Finally, they reached the last challenge, a small, fragile creature made entirely of light, trapped beneath falling shards of crystalline energy. The creature's soft glow flickered in fear. Nico realized this was the true test. Not navigating energy or portals, but protecting life that could not protect itself. He approached slowly. "We can do this," he whispered to Lena and Rawl. Together, they lifted the falling shards, guided by Mira's steady light. Every shard moved gently, as if respecting their intentions. When the creature was free, it floated toward Mira, merging its glow with hers. A warm wave of energy enveloped the humans. The voice of Mira's people spoke again. "You have acted with courage and care. You have shown understanding beyond survival. You have proven that choice guided by empathy is stronger than fear." The world around them shimmered, and the floating islands began to rearrange into patterns of welcoming light. The portal reappeared, leading them back to the station. As they stepped through, Mira's glow softened, but her hands lingered on theirs, a silent message of pride and connection. Back on the station, the team let out a collective breath. They had passed the test, but more than that, they had learned something profound. Humanity could rise, not through weapons or domination, but through courage, trust, and care. Nico looked at Mira. "You knew we could do it. You believed in us." Her colors shifted softly, almost like a smile. "We believe in each other," she seemed to say. Lena added, "And we've learned that the stars are not just distant points of light. They're places where courage and kindness can matter." Rawl, still catching his breath, smiled faintly. "We're stronger than we thought, not just because of her, but because we worked together." Outside, the stars glimmered, brighter than ever. The universe was vast, full of possibilities and challenges, and humanity had taken its first step toward understanding its place among them. Mira's presence had unlocked potential they had never imagined, proof that connection, empathy, and courage were powers as strong as any technology. And as they looked at the night sky, the team knew one thing with certainty. This was only the beginning. The station hummed with quiet energy. Nico, Lena, and Rawl moved through the corridors, still glowing with the after effects of the test. Mira hovered nearby, her light soft but steady, a reminder of everything they had learned. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, each one a point of possibility. The signal from Mira's people returned, stronger than ever. It was no longer a test. It was an invitation, a chance for humanity to step fully into the wider universe, to join in a partnership with beings who had watched from the stars for centuries. The voice spoke clearly, resonant and calm. "You have shown courage, care, and understanding. You have proven that your choices can protect life beyond your own. Now the final step awaits. Will you accept the responsibility to carry knowledge, hope, and connection to worlds unknown?" Nico felt a thrill, but also a weight. This was more than a challenge, it was a calling. He looked at Lena and Rawl. Their eyes reflected the same mix of awe and determination. "We accept," Nico said, his voice firm, "not for glory, but to show that humans can rise to what the universe asks of us." Mira's glow pulsed brighter than ever, and the tiny lights around her swirled in joyous patterns. It was clear she understood. They were ready. A shimmering portal opened in the lab, larger and more radiant than any before. Beyond it lay a world bathed in golden light, floating cities and skies filled with energy streams. Mira gestured toward. It then touched Nico's shoulder. Her glow sent a warm sensation through him, a reminder that wherever they went, she would be with them. The humans stepped forward. As they passed through the portal, a wave of understanding washed over them. This was more than a place. It was a living network of knowledge and life. Every being here was connected through light and energy, a civilization that existed in harmony with the universe itself. Their first step brought them to a city of floating towers. Beings of light approached, not with suspicion, but with curiosity. They observed Nico, Lena, and Raul, noting the choices they had made during the test. Mira moved beside them, guiding and translating, showing the aliens the humans' courage, empathy, and thoughtfulness. "You have carried the light of your world into ours," a luminous being said. "Few have done so with such care. You have shown that humanity is worthy of understanding, not only in observation, but in partnership." Nico felt his chest swell with pride, but he also knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had much to learn and much to share. "We will learn," he said softly, "and we will share what we can, so that more life can thrive." The city's energy shifted, forming a spiral of light that surrounded them. Mira floated to the center, her hands outstretched. Tiny lights gathered in her palms, spinning slowly, like miniature stars. Nico realized what this meant. She had been given a gift from her people, a symbol of trust and connection, and now she was placing it in their hands as well. "Take this," Mira's glow seemed to say. "It is more than a gift. It is a responsibility. The stars are in your hands now, not just for protection, but for hope." The humans reached out. As they touched the glowing spheres, warmth spread through them. Each light seemed to carry knowledge, experience, and possibility. Nico felt as if he could see through the stars, understand their energy, and sense the countless worlds waiting to be known. Lena whispered, "It's beautiful and powerful." Raul nodded, a rare smile on his face. "It's everything we could hope to be." Mira's glow shifted to match theirs, a shared rhythm that symbolized unity. They were no longer just humans and an alien companion. They were part of a larger story, a universe that had noticed them and welcomed them. The luminous beings observed silently, then spoke again. "Carry this knowledge wisely. Protect life where you can. Guide those who seek understanding. And remember, courage and care are the greatest powers of all." Nico felt a determination settle in him, a clarity he had never known. Humanity had passed the tests, but the real challenge was only beginning. To live up to the trust placed in them, to rise beyond fear, and to shine among the stars as beings of hope and kindness. Mira floated closer, resting her glowing hand on Nico's. Tiny lights drifted upward from her palms, mingling with the stars above. It was a silent promise. They would face the future together, with trust, courage, and unity. The portal back to the station opened, but they did not rush. For a moment they lingered, absorbing the wonder and majesty of this new world. Every star, every light, every movement carried a lesson. That life, in all its forms, was precious and interconnected. Finally, they returned to their station, bringing with them the gift of knowledge and responsibility. The monitors displayed the familiar stars of Earth's sky, but now they seemed different, full of possibility, not distance. Mira hovered nearby, her glow calm and radiant, reflecting the bond they now shared. Nico looked out at the stars and felt hope fill him. Humanity had proven itself, not by force or domination, but by courage, empathy, and understanding. And as long as they carried these values, there was no limit to what they could achieve among the stars. Lena smiled. "We've been given so much, and now it's our choice what we do with it." Raul added quietly, "We're not alone in this. Mira will always be with us, and together, we can make a difference." Mira's glow pulsed one last time, soft and steady. Tiny lights drifted from her hands into the station, mingling with the stars beyond. It was a silent reminder that life, hope, and courage could shine even in the darkest reaches of space. And as the team stood together, looking out at the endless sky, they understood the truth Mira had shown them from the very beginning. Beauty was not just in appearances, nor strength in weapons. It was in the choices they made, the care they gave, and the courage to rise when the universe called. The stars had been placed in her hands, and now humanity carried them forward. The universe awaited, wide and infinite, and humanity, guided by empathy, courage, and hope, was ready to meet it.